shadow in the government's game. Pawn as a child with no face and no name. They stole my past to leave me cold and alone. Always searching for a place that could go home. I was lost in the dark, just a tool in the hand, till she pulled me close and helped me understand. Now the fire inside is starting to rise. I can see the truth through 1,000 lies. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hellhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. In the dead of the night, I can hear the call. All the ghosts of my past scratching through the wall. My eyes change colors, the power has grown. With Crowley the hound, I'm never alone. I used to be hollow, a man made of glass, but now I am reclaiming every year that has passed. Every memory is falling right back into place. I know every name and I remember every face. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a hell on beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I ain't running no more, yeah, I'm ready to fight. Gonna settle that debt in the depth of the night. They tried to break me, they tried to erase, but they can't hide the blood from the scars on my face. The veil is thin and the engine is hot. I'm taking back everything that they thought I forgot. Now I tear through the veil, leave holes in the sky. I can read every thought in the blink of an eye. Danica, my witch, she's the magic in me. Yeah, I finally found what they took from me. With a tailhound beside me, I'm standing my ground. No longer a ghost that's never been found. I remember it all now. Every single face, I'm calling for you in the dead of the night.
Hello, everybody. My name's Henry. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about a haunted old schoolhouse. Now, this schoolhouse I'm going to be talking about tonight is kind of like one that was back in the Little House on the Prairie days. It was a one-room schoolhouse, complete with an outhouse out back. There's no well there. That they had a curb around it and a roof over it, and had a crank. They'd lower the bucket down and get water and crank it back up. Now, this school was in operation all the way from the 1800s up to the 1930s, 1940s. Like I said, it was out in the country. There was one road that went in front of it there, but it kind of set off the road. Well, the schoolhouse ain't there no longer, but the foundation's still there. And where the cribby fell in, the lumber is still there, and the old well curb is still there too. Well, there was a little game they used to play all the time up there in this little one-room schoolhouse. Whenever school would get out, this guy that lived on up the road, he'd pull up there in front of the school, stop his car, right about the time those kids was running out there. And them kids, they loved that man to death. A lot of the people, though, were scared of him. But He was a nice enough man. Those kids liked him. They'd all line up, and the teacher would be there with her whistle. They'd line up in front of his car, and that teacher would blow that whistle. And them kids would run from there, from the school, up the road to this old man's gate. Whoever touched the gate first got a brand new shiny silver dollar. And this went on every day. One time, after several races, some of the smaller kids, they wasn't winning nothing. So this old man would tell them boys, you got to give them three of my card links. He said the first whistle is for the little kids. The second whistle is for the older kids. Because back in those days, you had kindergarten all the way through 12th in a one-room schoolhouse. Sometimes them older kids would teach them younger ones, help the teacher out. Well, them little kids got a hell of a good head start. And what started out was this guy would shoot a gun, but teacher got after him for that. Told him you can't be doing that kind of shit no more in front of the school. They had rules. So she went to blow the whistle. And the young girls would line up cheering them on. Well, this went on until the school closed. You know, them old country schools where bigger schools took their place and they started busing kids instead of kids walking to school. But this school was very unique. It was people just around the immediate area that could walk to school, winter, summer, spring, fall. It didn't make a difference. Sometimes the older kids would pick the little kids up, put them on their shoulders, and walk through the deep snow. Well, the little kids got the head start. The whistle blew, they took off, and a few seconds later, the second whistle blew, and the older kids took off, headed up to that man's gate, which was probably about a quarter mile. Well, them little kids was tickled to death, and this guy got to laughing so hard at them little legs just to getting it. They wanted that silver dollar. They hadn't been winning any. Well, that day, every one of those little kids got a new shiny silver dollar. And this guy had a big old round belly, kind of like Santa Claus. He just laughed, and that belly just jiggle. Well, they'd get on the running board of his vehicle, and he'd take them all back to where the school was, laughing the whole time. Had his hat off, hanging out the window, and the little kids got to ride inside with him. The older ones just rode on the sideboard there, hung on. He didn't go very fast, just creeping along. Well, years went by and the school was closed. Now, people going up there, because it's all woods. There ain't no town up there, it's all woods. It was just an old country school. People started seeing, every so often, a kid kind of off in the distance, maybe about like a city block or 2 city blocks away, peeking from behind a tree. Well, they'd walk up there to see who this kid was, putting himself in danger while they squirrel hunting. Never find the kid. Sometimes people be up there squirrel hunting and they'd hear giggling, or they'd hear the sound of a jump rope, and kids cheering on the kid that was jumping rope. But this went on for years. People, talking around the campfire, talking around the neighborhood. Man, you ever hunt up there by the old schoolhouse? No, why? I was up there the other day, and I swear damn I seen a little kid peeking around a tree at me, and I thought, well, I better go over there and see what's going on, because hopefully there ain't no more kids here. I don't want to shoot and some kid get hurt. So I walked over there, and wasn't no kid. And he said, I started trying to walk back to my spot to sit down, and I heard giggling. Heard it over here, heard it over there, heard it up there. He said, give me the damn creeps. And sometimes you'd see 8, 10 kids. Different ages, different sizes. Once in a great while, somebody'd be up there squirrel hunting or rabbit hunting. And they'd see a tall, lanky woman with a big old bun on her head. Big old giant flared out dress. Headed toward the cribby. That's an outhouse for you that don't know. And she'd just disappear in the air. Well, this kept going on. People started talking. Well, in the 1960s, the Boy Scouts got permission to go up there and camp out around where the old school used to be. Now, if you knew where this place was at, everybody in that area there claimed they owned that piece where the schoolhouse was. I have proof. I have looked it up. And I'm telling you straight up, nobody can own that for 1 billion years. It was turned into the state to be granted as a place for educational purposes, whether it be a school, a Boy Scout, Girl Scout camp, anything to do with education. Nobody can own it. So if you knew where the place was at and you went up there and somebody tried to run you off, you could say, hey, you're wrong. Call the law. This place can't never be owned. It was deeded to the state of Illinois, and it shall remain deeded to the state of Illinois until hell freezes over. There is no taxes being paid on that property because why would the state pay taxes to itself? So anyway, that's the story on that. But people kept seeing these ghosts and hearing these ghostly laughs. There was never nothing harmful. I mean, it scared you enough to be sitting there squirrel hunting, and it's real peaceful and quiet, and all of a sudden you hear a little kid giggle, and you turn around and look, and a little girl, a little boy, or both standing behind a tree peeking around at you. That's enough there to make you kind of wonder what the shit's going on. Well, it wasn't just grown-ups reporting this, talking about it. There'd be kids that go up there squirrel hunting, rabbit hunting. Hell, people driving past on that old road. See these kids dressed, look like they were dressed back in the 1800s out there playing around those trees. Big old oak trees, sassafras trees, wild plum trees. Well, this kept going on. And every time somebody new would move out to the area, the neighbors wouldn't say nothing to them. They'd be like, hey, if you want to squirrel hunt, go up there where the old schoolhouse used to be. They give them direction. They go up there and they may see something or they may not for a while. Nighttime was even worse. At nighttime, that dead-end road, you get up there the right time of night, on the road, right in front of where the school was. You'll see this old mobster-looking car pulling there like Al Capone had. You'll see this jolly, fat little man driving the car. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll start hearing pitter-patter of feet. About time the sound gets to the road, them kids materialize and they're still running toward that car. They're getting ready for that race. They want them a silver dollar. Sometimes you'll see them sitting there talking to that old man. Right before they go up, get in front of the car, and then you'll hear a ghostly whistle, like a coach's whistle. But you won't see it. You'll just hear it. And all of a sudden, you'll see them kids take off, and they'll disappear along with the car in the darkness. You stick around, if you got guts and you stick around, that car will be coming back with those kids. The older kids riding on the sideboards, hanging on, and the little kids inside. Because that's what they used to do. Personally, I think it's imprint. Because, you know, in order for them to not notice you there, it's like a recording. When the timing is right, weather's right, everything's right, it'll replay events from the past. And this is well documented all over the place, all over the world. So things like that you leave an imprint. If you touch a glass of water, you leave an imprint on there. Your house, your bathroom even. You're touching it with your feet or your shoes. So the earth will record this. But things have to be just right in order for it to release the recording and play it. When this happens, it's like placed memory. They don't care if you're there, or they don't care if there's 1,000 people there. It's going to replay the same situation. If they interact with you, now that's different. That is a haunting. But like I said, this road, you'll hear and see those kids. You'll see that old phantom car. You'll hear that teacher's whistle, but you won't see her standing out there by the road like she used to do. You might see the little girl sitting there cheering on her favorite boy. But you go into those woods at nighttime, it's a whole new ball game. These woods are so thick, you can't see but about 20 feet in front of you. Now imagine walking in there coon hunting. And your dog's off running, checking for a track. And you're sitting there smoking a cigarette. And all of a sudden, the tree that you're leaning up against or sitting against, a little girl with little pigtails, little dress, little black shoes. As she leans around the corner, she goes, "Boo!" It scares the shit out of you. Make you shit yourselves right there in the leaves. And yeah, things like that do happen up there. All over around that old school. On both sides of the road. Sometimes you be sitting up there at nighttime and hear what sounds like a ball game going on. Kids playing ball, maybe they're on recess. There's even been cases where people have been up there and they've heard the teacher teaching a lesson, but you don't see nothing. It sounds like the voice is coming from all over around the woods, but it's closer to where the spot where the school was. Now, that's kind of freaky. I mean, that'd make the hair curl on your head. But anyway, they didn't have a bell on top of the school. There was a bell out in the front on a post. And you was the lucky kid when you got picked and they rotated to go pull that rope, make that bell clang, clang, clang. So it was a privilege to go pull that rope. Sometimes you hear that during the daytime or nighttime, either one. Lots of people has heard all this kind of things going on. Well, anyway, the Boy Scouts, one of the leaders found out that it was set up for educational, like I said a while ago. So they gathered the boys, the Boy Scouts up, the boys, and hey, we're going to print out a paper here, write out a paper, and each one of you take one home and have your parents sign it, because we're going to be going out to the old schoolhouse. But they was all excited. Well, come that Friday night, they loaded them boys up and headed out there in an old pickup truck. And back in those days, shit, you could ride in the back of the pickup truck. Hey, like nowadays you get caught, you ought to get pulled over and get arrested. Get a citation out of it. But they loaded up and loaded their coolers up, their hot dogs, marshmallows, and all kinds of goodies. And they headed through them old windy roads. Some of these roads you drive through looks like a tunnel. The trees overhang the road like in the Sleepy Hollow. Well, they drive, and they cut across the old bridge and straight up that big old hill. And they wound around a corner or two and ended up right there at that old schoolhouse, where there's a little pullover spot there. So they pulled up there and parked, and they started getting their flashlights and whatnot out and going to set up camp. So they took a couple old brooms and swept the leaves back, trimmed a couple saplings down so they could put tents up. Then they built them a fire. But they made a mistake. They decided they were going to tell ghost stories. Passed time away until everybody got tired. Well, the leaders started out first. Each one of them told a story, and then it was going to be passed to each one of the Boy Scouts. Well, the first kid started to tell his ghost story, and it started in. They heard little girls and little boys giggling behind them in the woods. They picked up their flashlights and started shining. There was about 15 ghost kids watching them and laughing about them telling ghost stories when they were ghosts out there behind them. Them poor Boy Scouts about flipped out. You can imagine, they were just young Boy Scouts. Well, they run to the leaders, and the leaders were just as scared as they were. But they decided to get the fire going real big, in case they had to make a run for it so they could see out around them. And these little kids would run from tree to tree. Boo. They go to the next tree. Boo. Just playing. They weren't trying to hurt nobody, they were just playing. And laughing because they were telling ghost stories. This went on for about an hour, and they were scared to run because they had to walk maybe like a block or two to get to the vehicles. So they sat there as close to the fire as they could, and these ghost children were playing with them, going from tree to tree, and then they'd run up like they was going to rush them and then stop, peeking behind the tree. Them poor boys, they didn't know where to crap or go blind. And one of them had had enough. He ain't gonna take this no more. He wants out of there. He don't care if he has to run home. He is getting out of there. A team of horses couldn't hold him. He looked around. He goes, "Anybody gonna call it?" Nobody said nothing. He goes, "Goodbye," and he took off running. Well, you know what happened. them ghost kids went around that group of kids, boys sitting there, and they started hooping and hollering behind this kid. He didn't stop at the truck. He made the swing and headed down the gravel road, and you could hear gravel flying, and he was screaming, and those kids was running behind him, them ghost kids, making Indian sounds and ghost sounds. They chased him all the way down the road, down to that bridge. And he seen them behind him coming down that hill, and he fell. He couldn't run no further. He was just, his brain was telling his legs to move, and his legs were saying, nope. And there he was on his back, feet just a-going, and arms just a-going, but he wasn't going nowhere. And them ghost kids stopped right on the edge of the bridge. And they started laughing. Then they started laughing at him. He couldn't get his breath. I mean, he was that scared. And they was like, it was just a game. We just wanted to play. We don't get kids up here very often our age. Well, that made it worse. That boy started going on his back, sliding down that road to the other side of the bridge. He spun around, got up on his feet, and took off again. Well, he made it as far as the Y up there, up the road, and instead of him going left or right, he jumped the small little fence gate and went up through the pasture. Now, if it wasn't bad enough these ghost kids were playing with him, chasing him, laughing at him, he jumped that little gate fence into a pasture. Didn't even realize that he'd left the road. Well, you know what happens when you jump into a cattle pasture and you spook the cows? And those cows are red and white faced Herefords. The cows got spooked. They stampeded toward him. And you know they had a big bull in there. And he's calling out to those females that are following that boy. Because he's hollering. And them cows is spooked. He runs to the next fence. Didn't even know it was there in the dark. He didn't jump the fence. He didn't climb the fence. He ran through the fence. Well, needless to say, them other kids up there, they all loaded up in the truck and got the shit out of there, and they figured they'd catch him up the road. They looked for that boy for 2 days. He had passed out up there in the woods. And those cows, they were scattered all over hell and creation. He broke through the fence and the cows followed. That poor boy about run himself to death. Well, they decided they wasn't going to do that no more. Heck with that, the ghost can just have them both school. But then another troop of Boy Scouts from another town, they was older. They figured they'd go up there and they was going to spend the night. But this time, instead of telling ghost stories, they was actually going to look for these ghosts. Huge mistake. They got up there and they built them a fire and they split off in teams. 3 boys to a team. If you see something, you hear something, you holler out and stay there. And they scattered out in them woods. There's a big enough fire, you'll be able to see that. If you can't see it, follow the smell of the smoke. It'll bring you closer to the fire. At least that's what they was told. And they believed it, I guess. But they got up there with their flashlights and they scattered. They were checking every brush pile, every tree. They looked and looked and looked, nothing. Well, they spotted this old abandoned road that goes back to a field. Well, in their walking, they got turned around, and instead of them heading back toward that field, they was headed back to where the old school was. So they kept walking up the road, and next thing you know, these three boys fall in, and there's the three boys, and they was all together now. He's like, well, there's the fire on it way up there. We'll head on to the fire. When they got there was that old gangster car sitting on the road. But this time, instead of the kids lined up in front of the car, they was talking to the guy driving it and pointing at them boys. And that old car revved its engine a little bit, backed out into the road, and turned and shined its light right on them boys. And now the boys are scared crapless. Who is this? They look up there by the foundation of that old school, and there was all these little girl ghosts sitting there, and that teacher with the bun on the back of her head, with her whistle in her mouth, just staring at them, not blinking, not moving, nothing. These boys got so scared, they left their stuff up there, they tore through the road, or through the woods, down to the road where the Y is, went down that big steep hill running just hard as they could go, went across the bridge, but they didn't make the little S turn there. They went straight out into the bean field. There were beans there about waist high. Them boys got all tore up from them beans cutting through there. I mean, it looked like somebody went out there with a shredder and mowed them off. They didn't stop there. They went up over the hill, ran through a gate, a wooden gate. They ran through it and hit the road, and they didn't stop running until they was halfway to the town. And somebody just happened to see them come running and flashed their lights, pulled up there and asked them what was going on, but they couldn't talk to hell. They was out of breath. That old man was like, let me guess. Y'all heard about the haunting up there at that old school, and you decided you was going to go there and ghost hunt. You challenged them ghosts. To them, it was a game. He goes, well, hop in back the truck. We'll take you back to where the vehicle is. And he's like, no. You just take us on to town. What about the vehicle? And one of the leaders like, we'll come back tomorrow and get that during the daylight. And he goes, just so you know, that place up there, the old schoolhouse, ain't haunted just at nighttime only. You're just as liable to see a ghost in the daytime up there as you are at nighttime. The only difference is, daytime you can see further. But it's just as haunted at nighttime as it is daytime. That old man took them into town and dropped them off at the school there, and they used the payphone and called for their parents to come get them. It's been tried several times, Boy Scouts over the year, and finally, in the early 70s, like 1971, 72, the Boy Scouts decided that maybe camping out there at the old haunted schoolhouse just ain't such a good idea. They never come out there again. Well, the old foundation is still there, and there's still remnants in the old school that used to be there. Now, I know that ain't the only one. There's got to be lots more of these old schoolhouses, but it's the first time I ever heard of one that was this haunted. And they ain't there to be mean or hurt you. They just like to play and like to scare the shit out of you. So if you ever figure out where that place is, just remember, it's haunted during the day, but worse at night. Because you can't see them until you get close. You can only see so far in the dark, and you shine your light around and see them milky eyes looking at you. That's enough right there to make you shit yourself. So if you ever find that place, be sure. Take you some toilet paper and maybe a change of clothes. Because it has scared some people so bad, they actually run out of their pants. And I'm not joking. There was one time, 4 or 5 boys go up there and been drinking and decided they was going to test the haunting. They run out of there so fast, 2 boys lost their drawers, and all of them lost their shoes. Got so scared they run out of their shoes. That's no kidding. I mean, there ain't nothing scarier than a little ghost kid. Because it always makes you wonder, is the devil playing with me? Is this a demon? Or is it a real little kid? There's even been time a girl and a boy sneak off, go up there and go parking. Wake up and find little handprints all over their car. Or they be in there and they hear them singing Ring Around the Rosie, pocket full of posies. And they raise up, look out the window, and there's these little kids, their eyes milky white, glowing, with their hands on the window looking in. That'd make for a bad night. There's even a couple old cars that was crashed up there because of that. So yeah, be careful around them old schoolhouses, them old country schoolhouses like that. Even if it's just a foundation left, there's still remnants of days gone by, and nights too. So just be aware that hauntings don't just happen at nighttime. They can happen in daytime just as well as they can at night. And if you get to see a ghost and it kind of interacts with you, then that's not just a recording. That's a haunting. A recording is when they do the same loop over and over and over at any given time. But yeah, that was a real ghost house up there, ghost schoolhouse, and it was like the Little House on the Prairie. But there was even people that lost their guns up there that would be set their gun against a tree and lean up against a tree and take a nap. Hear something, open an eye and look. There was one of them little kids. Look at him like, how'd you dress weird, man? Only to vanish in front of their face. Sometimes you'd see them little girls, a couple of them, out picking wildflowers. As soon as they look up and spot you, they just smile and wave, just vanish in thin air. Like I said, you see them out all over around that area, because they didn't go to school a full day. They went to school like at noon, till noon. Then they'd go out and pick up berries and nuts and gather them up, and the teacher would make stuff with them. Come back the next day with an apple pie or a pecan pie with the stuff they had found. And during mushroom season in the spring, they'd start at 8 a.m., go until noon, and then the rest of the day, they'd be out there mushroom hunting. Looking for those big old elephant ears and them yellow and gray morels. Even some of them big red sponge heads. Big old sheep head mushrooms. Oh, man, them things are good. Yeah, it was a different time. You know, they taught the kids. So when they grew up, they knew to go out and gather pecans and walnuts and blackberries, elderberries. No dingleberries, though. Leave those alone. Gooseberries. Gotta be careful gooseberries, though. Dude, you eat too many gooseberries, and I guarantee you'll get the trots. You'll need more than just one roll of toilet paper. Stay away from the gooseberries. Wild strawberries. Elderberry is good, too. But, Lord, don't ever put that stuff in the refrigerator and put banana peelings in it, and some yeast, and some sugar, and put a balloon on top of it. When that balloon blows off, and it's been sitting in the refrigerator, that will turn about 120, 130 proof, if not more. And it goes down like Kool-Aid. There ain't no burn to it, no funky taste to it. It's like drinking Kool-Aid. Till you stand up and feel like somebody sweeps your legs. Yeah, I know something about that. Like I said, if you ever figure out where that place is, you go there at your own risk. If you're really gutsy, take a camera and go there at nighttime. Daytime's bad enough, but nighttime is quite a different story. Daytime, them woods look pretty peaceful. Nighttime, they look like something out of Sleepy Hollow. Be up there walking around and hear a twig pop and swear them down, and you heard one of them kids and turn around and start to run and run right straight into a tree. I've done that before, too. Now you not only got being scared, now your face hurts because you ran into a tree. So yeah, there's even been those little kids even been seen standing up in a fork of a tree. Because you know how kids are. They like to climb trees. So if they like to climb trees as a little kid, an actual kid, they would do the same thing if they're a ghost. Any activities they was doing, you'll see them doing it, even as a ghost. You know, the rule of thumb I try to get across to people is, just say your Uncle Albert was a good man in life. Funny, joke around, talk. When he passes away, he's going to be the same way. But now, if he was mean, he's going to be the same way. So some of these, a lot of these hauntings, people think that, oh my God, the ghosts are out to get me. No. Sometimes they're just trying to make contact. Think of it this way. Imagine trying to pick up a spoon, a glass, your phone, with no hands. Because when you die, all you are is energy. You don't have the physical, skeletal body. So maybe they ain't figured out yet how to say, hey. So they move something. And then they watch to see if you notice it. And now, think about a baby and a glass on the table. Are they really coordinated? No. They might knock that glass on the floor, that plate, or that fork or spoon. Well, a new ghost is the same way. They're trying to figure things out. They got to practice. So sometimes you see a fork fly off on the floor. Don't jump to the conclusion that it's demonic. If it's demonic, you'd know it. Well, how you know it? You'd smell the smell of sulfur, rotten gut, feces, things like that. Crosses would turn upside down or fall off the wall. So just because a ghost moves something, yeah, it's freaky when you don't see them, but you see something move. I'll admit it, yeah, it's freaky. But it don't always mean they're trying to harm you. They just notice that you noticed that, and they're like, okay, he's seen that, so let me move the newspaper. Let me open and slam that door over there. Always try to look for a rational explanation. Don't jump straight to demonic, Satan. Because trust me, if it was, there's all kinds of warning signs. And I just give you a few warning signs about it. So like I said, yeah, it is freaky when you see something move. I know, because the house I used to live in, one time, I heard a noise. I was like, what the hell's that noise? So I got up and went into the kitchen, me and the dog. I thought, well, hell, while I'm in there, I get something to eat. I opened up the silverware drawer, and there wasn't no silverware, and I just washed dishes, so I know that silverware was all in that drawer. So I flipped the light on and looked up. All my silverware was stuck in the ceiling. How it got there, I have no damn clue. I didn't see it. Is it normal? No, it's not. It's paranormal. But I didn't see it happen. But when I turned the light on, they was stuck in the ceiling. And that's not normal. I didn't put it up there when I didn't hang it up there to dry. So, see, even that it was kind of creepy, but I was like, how in the hell did that shit get stuck up there in them ceiling tile? I was kind of amazed. Now, had I seen it coming out of the drawer and flying up, sticking in the ceiling, I might have been, that'd probably be a different story. So, you just got to try to rational things out and try not to freak out. Don't lose control. Because you can get seriously hurt, whether you're out in a cemetery, in your house, in a barn, wherever. If you totally flip and lose your shit, you could seriously get hurt on your own way out. Like in the woods, you never look behind you when you're running straight. Because that one time you turn to look and turn back, bam. Now think about this. You hit that tree hard enough, whatever it is that you think is chasing you, or whatever it is you've seen coming up there, chasing you, now you're passed out, and you're at the mercy of whatever it is that's coming up behind you. So just always try to keep control of your senses. Yeah, it scares you. I'll be the first one to admit I've had shit scared out of me several times. But you just got to be careful when you're out looking for these things, because if you're looking for them and they notice you're looking for them, damn right they're going to give you a sign. That's why most people don't go look for them. You know the old saying, seek and you shall find? Yeah. But I'll tell you what though, I used to love to take off and go out there and sit in them old cemeteries, sit in them woods. Some of the things I would see and catch, and I ain't gonna sit here and say it didn't scare me, because it scared the shit out of me. But it was like jumping out of an airplane. That rush, that adrenaline rush. That's part of the reason why I did it. The other was get answers, get pictures. But it was the adrenaline rush. I got hurt several times. So that's why I'm trying to warn you from the mistakes I made. By running and look behind you and pow, hit a tree. And don't ever think, if a ghost really wants to, they can hurt you. But if you like the ghost, then don't let that stop you. Here's the thing you want to remember. Whether it be a house, a barn, a yard, whatever. When you get out of the vehicle and you start to go in, if you start getting bad feelings, it is no crime to back out, get back in your vehicle, and go home. There's no crime in that. And the person that says you're a chicken shit, Too bad you couldn't find out how many times they've run home like a little girl. Trust me, there've been plenty of times I've ran for my life. Ran into trees, ran into barns. So there's no harm in getting out before you get hurt. Because if you trust your senses, they will not steer you wrong. That's why you have these senses that tells you danger. Danger is beyond up here. That's that feeling you get that tells you, hey, you need to get the shit out of here. Just turn around, get out of here. There's no crime in that. That's called being smart. A lot of times I wasn't smart, and I pushed the envelope, and I paid for it. Would I do it again? Hell yeah. Just 'cause I like the adrenaline rush. To me, it's exciting as hell. It's like I said, like jumping out of a plane, or most people jump off of a cliff into the water. I ain't doing that because too many times there's a big ass boulder under it you don't see, and you face plant into that thing. I don't think so. But I'll ghost hunt anytime. I used to do it all the time, way before I got married. I was out about every night. Sleeping in a cemetery, sleeping in an old barn, out in the woods. Somebody told me this place was haunted, I'd go there. Just to see how long I could stay there. So like I said, you just want to, if you decide to go, just be careful. If something tells you, a gut feeling says, hey, we need to get the hell out of here, just turn around and walk. Don't run, especially if you don't know the place. That way you make it home in one piece. Instead of like me, getting knocked out and several times and wake up the next morning and wonder where in the hell I'm at. Trying to shake the cobwebs out, wipe the blood off my face, and now I have to walk back to the vehicle and I'm hurt. So just do it smarter than I did. I'm just telling you from my experiences. Don't run. And for damn sure, don't start walking and cover your eyes because you hear stuff walking around you. You want them eyes wide open. Otherwise, you're allowed to walk off on an embankment down into a creek or into a briar patch. Then you're really going to be stuck. Literally. So anyway, there's the story about the old haunted schoolhouse and a few tips for you. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Not many people want to play with a Ouija board. But if you ever find yourself in a situation, a group, and they're playing the Ouija board and you get talked into playing, and you got 2 fingers on the planchette, that's the thing that moves around the board that tells you what it's saying. Don't do this. Don't have your fingers on the planchette like this here and stop and scratch. Because now you can't shut that door that's being open when you started playing it. Before anybody removes their hands off the planchette, move it to goodbye, and then move the planchette off the board. Otherwise, that thing's going to stay open, and somebody's going to get haunted. And don't think that whatever it is that come out of that board won't and can't follow you home, because it can. So, just a little word of the wise. Them Ouija boards are not toys. Even though they sell them as a kid's toy, they ain't. A kid's game, they ain't. They're real. You go mucking with them things, you're messing with some bad medicine there. It can go from 0 to 100 in just a matter of minutes. And if you get scared and leave that gate open, not only can the good come through there, but so can't the evil. and then you can't get rid of it unless you go get a priest or a shaman, somebody out there. So anyway, just some little thoughts and reminders, people. If your property ever gets haunted by Native Americans because maybe there's a Native American burial ground somewhere on your property, you don't need to call or do anything. Here's what you do. Go buy you a couple of fruit trees. 1 or 2 fruit trees, or 4 or 5, whatever. Plant them on the property. That will appease those Native American spirits. It's like a peace offering. It's like offering them tobacco. And you'll start seeing it gradually slow down. Just a random thought I had. Thought I'd share it. The other thing you can do too, if you got a place that's haunted, go get some blessed St. Christopher medals. Goes on your necklace. Get 4 of them. 1 for each corner of your property. Dig down and bury that. Go to the next one, dig down and bury that one, so on and so forth. And that will not let anything evil trespass. And that is there will have to leave. But you have to believe in it. It's like anything else. If you don't believe you can drive, you're damn well going to crash. So no matter what it is, you have to totally believe in it for it to work. Or as they say, have faith. That's all it takes. That and the will to say, hey, this is my house, not yours. You're either going to mind the rules or get the hell out. When you start paying the rent or the mortgage, then we'll talk. Otherwise, you're just like one of my kids. You're going to mind the rules or I'm going to chuck you out of here. Just simple things like that. You may have to do it 4 or 5 times. Sage. Everybody should grow sage around their house. We have some. That sage gets up, you just pinch off the leaves, let them dry. You start having a haunting, put a bunch of that in a metal container or a saucer, not a plastic one though, because it melts in your hand, and light it. And then just fan the smoke as you walk through each room. But have the windows open and walk into that room through the door toward a window, fanning that smoke, and you'll drive whatever it is out of there. And when you're done and you get ready to leave that room, before you leave that window, shut it. Then go to the next room until all the house has been cleansed. That's called cleansing. You don't have to say no fancy words. Just go along and spread the stinky smoke. That'll work. You know, you see all these ghost hunters and stuff say, oh my God, we staged the house, we called a shaman, we called this one, and it don't work. Because you wasn't forceful enough. They're like little kids. If a stern warning don't work, then you have to whip the ass. You just have to be brave. Well, it's been a long day for me, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. I hope you enjoyed my rambling and the short story, but I'll bring you a better one next time. I'm just kind of a little bit tired, and you see me been yawning here. Probably the rest of you start yawning in a minute. Well, it's getting late, and I'll catch you on the next one. This is Henry. I'm going night-night after I have a smoke first. Y'all take care. Be good to one another. If not, then turn and walk away from each other. If that don't work, then cuss. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Good night.